Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and happy Halloween from the Man Things department store. I've got a spooky story guaranteed to chill your bones. A long time ago in a town not so far, before there were TVs, cell phones, and cars, people would gather to tell stories of ghosts. All were quite spooky, but one was the most. On a horse he rode, back from the dead. He carried a sword to chop off your head. Spooky! He searched for a head to use as his own, because where his once was, there was no flesh or bone. The Headless Horseman is the story that follows. The scariest ghost in all Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow had farmers, a doctor, and preacher, but the kids were all morons, so they hired a teacher. With long floppy arms and a tall lanky frame, he goes by the name of Ichabod Crane. He wore really neat glasses and a mustache to boot. A true ladies' man, all the girls thought he was cute. He arrived in town with few books and few clothes, a change of a shirt, and some stories of ghosts. He stayed with his students, their mothers and fathers. He flirted with wives and their husbands it bothered. See, most husbands worked in the field as a farmer, and Ichabod Crane, he was way freaking smarter. But there was one fine lady with really nice boobs, and her daddy had money, so it was she that he'd woo. She went by the name of Katrina Van Tassel, and she had an annoying ex-boyfriend that was quite the hassle. Brom Bones was his name, and he could beat up a tiger. But Ichabod didn't care, because he really liked her. One day while teaching, he received a note. He got very excited and sent all the kids home to the Harvest Frolic at Van Tassel's. Oh dear, he had been invited for hot dogs and beer. Katrina Van Tassel would be there, of course. So he found his best shirt and he rented a horse. He rode his horse Gunpowder, which was really a donkey, but he didn't care because he was ready to party. When he arrived at Van Tassel's, the whole town was there. He walked towards Katrina and Brom Bones just stared. He reached out his hand and he asked her to dance. She kindly said yes, and he hiked up his pants. He moonwalked and backspun all over the floor. He did a backflip and the crowd cheered more. So he spun around and played air guitar and finished it off with a beer at the bar. When the crowd settled down, Brom stood up and spoke. It's almost midnight. How about a story of ghosts? All gathered round and Brom sure delivered. He spoke of the horsemen and everyone quivered. After the party was over, Crane stayed late to ask Miss Van Tassel out on a date. She turned him down and he was pretty upset. He got on his horse and he thought of her chest. So he rode home alone, which very few dared. After Brom Bones' story, most were too scared. There was a chill in the air and a fog on the ground, and the spookiest sounds that seemed all around. All of the sudden, through the trees came him riding, a humongous horseman with the moonlight behind him. Crane started to speak, but only noises were said, because he realized the rider had no freaking head. He kicked at his donkey and took off down the trail, but the Headless Horseman was right on his tail. He took off to the bridge where the legend has said that the horseman should vanish and not take his head. As he closed on the bridge, the horseman's horse bucked. The man with no head yelled, "You're in luck!" He threw a flaming pumpkin. This ghost was the meanest. Crane jumped off his donkey and got hit in the weenus. The horseman took off, and Crane did too. Back to the city. This story is true. Some believe that Brom was the man with no head, because later that month him and Van Tassel were wed. But the old wives in town believe to this day that the Headless Horseman was a ghost barber named Ray.
Halloween!